This story is actually really interesting. A Brazilian woman who is the mother of the White House press secretary Karoline Leavitt's nephew has been detained by ICE. Okay? The mother of Karoline Leavitt's nephew grew up here. She was brought here at 6. She went to elementary, middle, and high school here. She has no criminal record and the mother of a citizen. There is strong bipartisan consensus that people like her should have a path to stay. Ferreira migrated with her family to the United States from Brazil as a child. She is the mother of Leavitt's nephew. Mass deportation is pathological, says David J. Beyer of Cato Institute, one of the few open borders libertarians that remain. Nope, there is consensus. They all got to go. Wrong. It is extremely strong, durable consensus, says Aaron Reichland Melnick. Gallup's latest poll shows 85% support for a path to legal status for people brought here as kids, up from 81% last year and 83% 7 years ago. If you disagree, you're in a very small minority of the American public. Because the option doesn't exist. Why didn't she ever seek that option in the 30 years that she was here? Because the option doesn't exist. For the vast majority of the undocumented population, no matter how sympathetic, no matter if they came here as literal babies and speak English like a native and have clean records, until Congress acts, they have zero path to staying legally. This guy then follows up by says they have the option to self-deport and re-enter legally, where they won't be human trafficked by cartels, supported, screened to make sure they're compatible and have skills we need, etc. God, I wish you were right. I wish the people here illegally could just leave the USA and apply to come back in. But that's not how the system works. There's no line they can get into, no path to leaving and coming back, no way at all for the vast majority to ever come back. Yeah. That is not an app to re-enter the country legally. That is a program set up by the Trump admin to permit some people to accept voluntary departure, self-deport, and leave without a deportation order and also get $1,000. That's it. It offers zero path to coming back at all. Overstaying visa is not a crime, and she was 6 years old when it happened. She is technically eligible for DACA. Okay? In any case, let's take a look at the news story here on ICE and someone from Karoline Leavitt's immediate family getting arrested for deportation.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. First, Homeland Security confirms ICE arrested a woman a source says has a connection to White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Meanwhile, refugees admitted into the U.S. during the Biden administration could be in jeopardy of losing their legal status. Immigration reporter Armando Garcia and Justice reporter Luke Barr are here for more on that. Armando, what's the latest on this woman ICE detained, and what's her connection to Karoline Leavitt?
Well, this is her nephew's mother. DHS has forcefully described her as a criminal illegal alien, saying that she had a previous arrest for battery and overstayed a visa, presumably when she came to the United States when she was a child. Her lawyer is pushing back on some of these claims, saying that she had absolutely no criminal.
If you come here illegally, your ass is GTFO. That doesn't even make like any grammar sense. If you come here illegally, your ass is get the f out. Why so hard to understand? Says Griff. First message in the chat. Very simple. If someone has done no crimes whatsoever and they're just a normal functioning part of American society, there is absolutely zero reason to deport them, especially if they were 6 years old when they came to the United States of America and know nothing but America. They are American, okay? And there is not a single good counter narrative to this, okay? And it's not even unpopular, for the record. We are talking about people who are, in most circumstances, parents of American citizens, married to American citizens, are just normal functioning members of society. Okay? I would go so far as to say that they are probably better than you. Okay? They are probably a better individual than you are, and probably more important for American development than you are. In most circumstances, they fulfill a role that is needed. You don't. Okay? And I know for a fact that you don't, because you're sitting in this chat anonymously chirping about some of the most vulnerable population members, some of our most vulnerable community members, some of our most vulnerable and productive neighbors. Okay? That's it.
record, certainly no criminal record that would have prevented her from getting deferred action for childhood arrival status. And he's also saying that this is somebody who is now being held in Louisiana, thousands of miles away from home. They plan to challenge her arrest in federal court.
And Luke, a memo obtained by ABC News shows the Trump administration is directing U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to review refugees admitted during President Biden's time in office. What's the goal here?
Yeah, so Diane, those who were admitted during the former President Biden's time in office will be under review, and some might even have to go through another interview. And the memo that we obtained says that basically those who were admitted and will be, they're going to look at all of those who were admitted and see within 3 months. If they're, need to go through a re-interview, they're going to identify people who need to go through a re-interview. And let me just read you a quote, Diane, from this memo. It says, quote, throughout this evaluation phase, in order to make improvements, USCIS has identified that from January 20, 2021 to February 20, 2025, the U.S. Refugee Assistance Program and USCIS prioritized expediency, quantity, and admissions over quality interviews and detailed screening and vetting. Now, advocates are already saying this is unprecedented. And others predict that there might be challenges to this memo, Diane.
And Armando, a judge is now moving forward with a contempt inquiry after the administration sent 2 plane loads of Venezuelan immigrants to El Salvador despite orders to turn the planes around. What's the latest on that, and what are we learning from this?
Yeah, DOJ in court filings essentially says that it was Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, who made the decision to continue removing hundreds of Venezuelan nationals to this notorious prison in El Salvador, despite the judge's order to turn those planes around. This is a very stunning development, a stunning case, one that's lasted for several months. Essentially, the judge is continuing his contempt inquiry and seeing why his orders were essentially rejected by the Trump administration. As we know, hundreds of Venezuelan nationals were sent to that notorious prison in El Salvador, where they reportedly endured inhumane conditions until they were released several months later, Diane.
And meanwhile, another judge also just struck down a DHS policy ruling thousands of immigrants could be eligible for bond hearings. So what are you watching for there? Yeah,
this was a DHS policy instituted in July that essentially forced thousands of immigrants who came to the country without inspection to remain in detention during their removal proceedings. That could take years because of the millions of backlog of cases in the immigration system. But essentially it forced ICE to also consider any immigrant who came without inspection as an applicant for admission. Under current immigration law, that means that they are susceptible.
Genuine question. How can you have a system where they live in the U.S., have a job, pay taxes, and is not registered? Why do you have a system where they can be employed and taxed, but they are not considered illegal immigrants? But they are considered illegal immigrants. From an outsider perspective, it seems a bit weird. It's because you can use and abuse them and discard them. So it's beneficial to business owners to maintain this structure where it's basically like a handshake and a nod agreement. Their existence on U.S. soil and their participation in the labor market also depresses wages for everybody across the board. Their participation as undocumented workers, for the record, because if they were participating in the labor force as documented workers, then it wouldn't depress wages in general. They'd be a part of the normal labor force. So that's it. It's one of these structures that we've designed with full knowledge. Everybody knows how it works, okay? You wouldn't work the jobs you're accusing them of stealing. Wait, what? Are you talking to me? Because I didn't say that. I didn't even accuse undocumented migrants of stealing jobs necessarily. They're just human beings. There's no job theft in general. What did Benny Johnson say? Kaya, other chatters? There is not a single chatter in this community that have said that immigrants are stealing jobs. This is a very pro-immigrant chat. As a matter of fact, you're the only one who said that even implied that chat is saying it or even used that term.